Black Rockers United started in 2006, and we continue November with rocker Geraldine Hayes, the BÖNDBREAKR in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello there, fellow rocker. How are you doing over there?
I'm great. I'm enjoying the sunlight, soaking it in, because it'll probably disappear pretty soon. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Took a walk today, and yeah, life is good. How are you doing?
Thanks for asking, Sib. I'm doing all right, you know. It's the same here. I'm enjoying the autumn vibes as it kind of transitions into the colder months, you know.
Yeah, for
Winter
sure.
in darkness, but you know, we're Afro goths, we're rockers. We enjoy that kind of vibe.
Children of the sun, like go outside, get the energy. So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, it's kind of that seasonal shift, I feel, that makes creativity blossom. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm on board with that. My creativity, man, I don't know. It's all over the place a lot of the time. So when the seasons transition, I feel like I'm never truly in tune with them. Unless I catch a cold, then I'm forced to stop doing whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I have to think like, oh, I have to slow down now. That's the only time I feel like the seasonal transitions actually force me to think about my creative process.
Right on. You know, I love that at any time that you can be creative and that it takes from different areas and you're not like confined into one specific space. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations on your recent wedding, by
Oh,
the way.
yes. Thank you. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a blessing. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a long time coming. Just, you know how it is when you don't find the right person and you just keep trudging along. Then you do find the right person and you're like, what the hell is this? What is love? Get away from me now. I don't understand this. And then you let it in and everything changes for the better. So thank you. Received.
Yeah, absolutely, Geraldine. You know, love is a beautiful thing, and it's so cool that you found that with like your bandmate at that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I think being in a band with Kieran has taught me how to have patience because, as you know, and you've heard from different artists, being in a band is its own type of relationship. Sometimes it's like a familial relationship. Like I feel like my bandmates are my brothers,
Yeah.
So for a good while there, like I had to navigate the business end of this band, the creative end of this band, and also be very mindful that the person I love is in this band.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, there's
how do
tears.
you balance? Yeah. But going through that with him for years, I think informed a lot of our marital decisions, so it's pretty rad. Pretty rad.
Super rad. You know, we have to introduce the band we're talking about, BÖNDBREAKR. You know, had to build up the hype to it. They are a hardcore thrash group of four. Geraldine with your trademark voice. Dad Stevens bringing the brutal bass. Guitarist Karen McCloskey. And percussionist Patrick B.
Yeah.
Together, killing it down there.
Well, we're trying. We're trying.
Definitely are. I have to love that metal punk fusion. Like from the jump, I thought that was a really intriguing and very compelling mix. So, how did you create the band? How did it start, first of all?
Yeah. So Patrick and I were in a band called Sugar Pill for about a year and a half here in Austin. I think that was in, I don't even remember, 2017 or 16, something like that. And then when we decided that, creatively we weren't going to be moving in the direction we wanted to with Sugar Pill, we took a beat and figured out that we did want to start a new project, but what could it possibly be? So we got Kieran into the mix with his awesome metal guitar playing. He's in several projects, one being Adwanton, which is just like, in my opinion, one of the best metal bands out there. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm biased, but
no, I'm saying that.
Yeah, like if you listen, it's
good.
really great. But he played in lots of metal bands for decades, and so I was very much in tune with how he played. Patrick is like my homeboy since Jump, and he plays the drums so fast and brilliantly. Like that's all I ever want, is that pure, percussive power, which he always brings. So the three of us decided that we wanted to be in a band together. Patrick came up with the name BÖNDBREAKR, and yeah, we found a bass player. His name was Pete, and we just got together, started playing some songs. As we started to really like build up what we wanted to sound like, I was like, I should probably try my hand at composing a song or two. And I grabbed my clarinet, which I'll show you.
Yeah, it's clarinet time.
Yeah. So this is Demon Horn. And I decided I was going to sit down in our little practice space and create some songs. And that's what I did. I recorded several things in this little space, like onto my phone. So it sounded horrible, but my bandmates, they were able to just say, okay, like, let's just hear it and let's see if we can transpose this on guitar and bass, which they did. So one of our songs, which you're familiar with, is Angry Tooth. I wrote that on the clarinet.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote a couple of others, but we haven't recorded them. Yeah, the band formed just out of pure creative motives. Like we just wanted to continue rocking, like we never want to stop. And we had the right chemistry. And then the way that we ended up getting Thad into the mix, our bass player now, is we needed a new bass player. We determined that during the pandemic, we were going to have to get really creative really fast to figure out how we could actually keep BÖNDBREAKR alive and how could we sustain ourselves creatively. So we found Thad, and he has really, really kicked us up a couple of notches. So that's BÖNDBREAKR.
So dope. Thank you for that story. That's amazing it was synergy from the beginning, but then it grew into this really awesome mega project.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Speaking of cool, your latest shows at Girls Rock Austin, like Abort Abbott Fest, those are cool. During the pandemic, like you said, and for really cool causes at that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love getting asked to do anything that supports women and marginalized groups. Obviously, let's go. Being in Austin, there are a lot of opportunities to use privilege in such a way that you can wield it to other folks' advantage. You know what I mean? So I'm in a position where a lot of folks are not. And number one, I'm gainfully employed. That's a big one here in Austin. Mm-hmm. Number two, I am a powerful woman because I accept that about myself. But also I feel like that is a privilege in itself because there are so many powerless women in the world. Also, I am a Black woman. And for a lot of people want to say, oh, it's, we're marginalized and we are discriminated against. And so it feels like we're getting knocked down or that we don't have any power and privilege. And I just want to challenge that notion and say, we absolutely do have power and privilege. It just looks different. It may not look economic. It may not look physical a lot of the time. But I mean, as a Black woman, we hold so much power, we have so much resolve, and we have so much reserved within us that's why we keep getting mined for it. Yeah. So I use those three things here in this town to make sure that people understand when you ask us to go play a show, Girls Rock, Abort Abbott Fest. There was the other one that we did for the Women's March here in town. I want you to know that, yes, I will use all three of those things. I'm going to use my resources, my gender, and my race and culture identity
Yeah.
to put our band forward, to put our message forward, and to put you all forward as well. So yeah, I love that. Especially like during the pandemic, I was able to get myself and my bandmates to champion people looking out for their health. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
letting them know if you come to the shows, you have to be responsible and follow the recommended guidelines that these venues are putting in place for the safety of their patrons and the band. So it was really great. You know, I still continue to enjoy what we do here in town and hopefully out of town. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Since you have out of city shows, out of state shows, you know, out of the country shows.
That would be the dream. That is the dream. Like we played in Temple, Texas, which is, oh boy, think about like an hour and 15 minutes north of Austin.
Nice.
And for, you know, your watching, listening audience, the way that Texans talk about distance is in time, not in actual like miles. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes north of here. And we really had a blast. It was a pretty cool experience where we played in the parking lot of a tattoo parlor. It was really cool. It was really cool.
Awesome. When was that?
That was, I think it was about 2 weekends ago. And we played with this awesome band, 3 awesome bands called Stuck on 45, Shafux, and Marla Strange. Just really intense, awesome punk rockers and like metal people. Like, yeah, it was really fun. So more shows like that, more out of town, more away from Austin shows. That's the goal for 2022.
Woo-hoo. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But first, let's rewind to the beginning when you first developed a personal passion for music. Do you remember like the first time that you got into music or?
Yeah, vividly. In fact, I did not want to play music or write music or anything like that until I saw the band Kitty on MTV. You know, when I saw Fallon, my mind exploded. She was one of the first women that I saw in like a metal band.
Yeah.
Black women. And I was like,
Fallon Bowman for sure.
Yeah, I just felt like I had been searching for water and I just found the tallest, most perfect glass of water when I saw that video. It was Brackish that debuted on MTV. And since that moment, I kind of had like a kernel, you know, of an idea of what I wanted to be when I grew up. Of course, it was, you know, I want to be a rocker, but it wasn't until decades later, like well after college, when I reconnected with a dear friend of mine named Jake, who actually does guest vocals on our track Cop Rock. He introduced me to so many different types of punk and metal bands. And, you know, we would go to a lot of shows here in town. And he was like, you know, I think that we could do this. And I was like, yeah, maybe we could. I don't know. And then we, you know, got together and we were jamming and stuff. And he was the person that really helped me recognize that the voice that I had been trying to find for a very long time was still very much in that little kernel, that little nugget of wish and hope that started with Fallon of Kitty. And yeah, that's really where it started. Just seeing a Black woman, girl at that time, she was a girl at that time, but seeing her doing it, I was like, I want to be that. So yeah, that's it. That's what happened.
So dope, Geraldine. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What year was that? Do you remember?
1990, gosh, 2 or 3. I don't remember when their song debuted, but it was early. It was early days. I mean, before that, I was completely and utterly obsessed with Jimi Hendrix.
Nice.
You know, like, come on. what are you doing? What kind of
Yeah.
sorcery is this? Just a magnificent human being. And it took me several years to like really kind of understand his influence and impact on all types of musicians, specifically Prince. My mom and my aunt, obviously, who's not the biggest Prince fan, right? But growing up, you know, I hear Prince and I'm hearing guitars and I'm hearing saxophone, trombones, I'm hearing everything. I'm like, this is pretty cool, whatever. Then I land on Jimi Hendrix. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like shaking my mom. Mom, have you heard of Jimi Hendrix? She's like, yeah, that's like the guy that Prince adores. And I was like, no, he doesn't. Because I don't want to like the same things as my mom. But yeah, I had to give it up to my mom. She knew what was going on. So it started with Jimmy, but I didn't realize I could potentially do it until I saw Fallon. Yeah.
Amazing.
So many feels.
Yeah. Fast forward to your debut EP, and you know, songs like Angry Tooth that we were talking about and My Girls were an introduction to BÖNDBREAKR, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Angry Tooth had a lot of dental issues. And one day I went to the dentist. I'm not going to get deep into it, but it was a really intense experience and I felt upside down.
Yeah.
And I went into the practice space and grabbed my clarinet, and I shouldn't have. I was supposed to be at home. I'd already had the dental surgery. Don't ask me like how I was able to play my clarinet, but I did. And then came up with that. My Girls was actually an old song that Patrick and I had written with our band Sugar Pill. And I just remember when I wrote it, I wrote the lyrics outside of this really awesome bar here, this metal bar called Lost Well. I was sitting there listening to a band and they were so good, just blowing everybody out of the water. You know, everybody's just raving. And I go outside, I'm sitting on the side on this bench and I grab like this little note that I have. It was like a receipt or a note, piece of note paper. And I just scribble like everything that was in my head about My Girls. I was like, if I could just tell the women of the world that we need to unite and we need to just stand up against all these horrible oppressive powers, I want to do that. So I just wrote this long thing and then ended up kind of editing it down. And what you hear is what was the end result of all of that editing. Yeah. Lots of anger. And it's, I don't know. It's, you know, I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine. Like, I don't give a damn about people thinking that, you know, I'm an angry Black woman. I think there need to be more of us being more vocal and present and forward about it. You know, my songs like My Girls, Angry Tooth, Cop Rock, Kill Your Gods, like those songs are born out of not just anger, but grief. Yeah. Like we Black women, we experience grief and pain in such deep, profound ways. Yeah. And then we have to go out into the world and be nice, be strong, be beautiful. Don't be too beautiful.
Yeah.
Be vocal, but not too vocal. And also like fall in line, but think outside the box. We just have to like fall into all this bullshit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be angry because that's actually my default setting, being born in this country that I love, but that does not love me. It does not love my people. So yeah, I'm mad. And I, you know, identify and embrace that. And that's how I write my songs. I'm writing it from the perspective of a person that is not seen as a full, impactful, and powerful woman. At least not in the gaze of particular folks. Like I know how I see myself and how I see you and how I see other Black women and Black women identified persons. Like I see you. And so now my job, my goal, my raison d'etre is to be one of many bullhorns for us. Yeah, that's it.
What I'm talking about. It's amazing, Geraldine.
Thank you.
Yay!
I'm loving your Joy Division shirt, by the way. Like, I'm going to be listening to them after this.
Yes, that was a huge formative and still is influence for me is dark wave, like post-punk, just like very dark, introspective music. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of feeling here, but it's also very like laid back at the same time. It's a mix of feelings.
It totally makes sense that that's like a part of your soundscape, you know, because you have a very unique sense of everybody's like sonic abilities. Like, I love that about you and your content. Like, you're chill about it, but you're so intense as well. Like, you have a very unique balance, and I'm totally into it. So of course you will love Joy Division and post-punk. Why didn't I think of that?
Thank you. You know, like, I want to see the potential, like you said, like I see you, and I see so many people out here being bright and wonderful and shining, and I think there needs to be more focus on that because, you know, we're left out of a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know.
You're absolutely right. We're left out of damn near everything if we don't burn it down, you know? And not physically, but you know what I'm saying.
Gotta show up for each other. And I also wanted to say happy anniversary to your self-titled second release, right?
Yeah.
Wow, a year. Like,
yeah.
How does that feel?
Thank you. It feels good. It's interesting to learn how people respond to it, how they did respond to it at first. You know, we sent it out to several metal outlets and a couple of punk outlets because we just didn't know what the sound was. We still don't fall into a lot of categories. We don't check a lot of boxes. But the initial response was excitement, which was great. And to think about it a year later against some of the new material that we're currently working on, I'm excited to release it and also to see, you know, what people think about it in contrast. I think there's quite a bit of contrast. It's still pretty much, you know, that same BÖNDBREAKR intensity that we like to bring, but we got some extra sauce on the barbecue plate. So yeah, we'll see what you think. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think. So we're currently working on 2 singles right now, one of which I want to send to you directly once it's ready. So yeah,
put the headphones on and have a listen. All right, Geraldine.
Yes.
All right, we got some new material coming. That's wonderful. That's really cool. Rockin', yes. What goes into achieving an ideal performance in an album?
Ideal performance, that's a toss-up, isn't it? Like, for me, like, what goes into an ideal performance would be... Wow, that's a really good question. I would have to say, as long as I can remember that the performance is, of course, me bringing like my gift to the table along with the other 3 folks with me, alongside me. We're bringing our gifts to the people in the room. But truly, my ideal, what I bring is I want folks to feel open. I want people to feel open enough to receive the information that we're giving to them so that they can feel what I'm feeling. I want them to feel, like I said, like that anger, that frustration, that grief, that why is this happening to and at me over and over and over again? I want people to feel safe enough with me to express that rage that is in them. especially Black and brown folks in the room, because we tend to be the only ones in those spaces. So I want to make sure that, of course, everybody in the room can feel what I'm feeling, but I want us to have a moment where we can let loose and be free in our fury, you know? So that to me is what I like every single time. Like, I'm here for you to unleash. And then, of course, if anybody gives me, you know, a free beer and a shot of whiskey, then we're good to go. And then, wow, for an album, you know, I'm like in the process of writing a full length. It's probably not going to come out for a year or two because there are so many things that I need to turn it into something that is truly authentic, and it's not just being pulled from a headline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of things that I write, when I go back and I look at it again, I'm like, do you really mean that? Or are you being reactive to this current event? So going into the album, I need to go into it with my intentions first. And I also have to respond to the world and climate around me, like Nina Simone told us to do.
Yeah.
And I try my best to bring that to the writing. Yeah. There's really not much else other than I bring my own microphone. And if the engineer is like, you don't need that microphone, then I let them tell me that I don't need that microphone. But it's yet to happen. I just bring my own microphone. My Shure 58 is doing all right, so that's about it. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thanks for that insight, Geraldine. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, we are so hyped that you could spend this time with Brew Crew.
Oh.
Like, just like open up everyone's minds and really like let us know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me and asking me, you know. I'm a huge fan of yours, so this is very exciting for me. Yeah.
I'm always gonna ride for you because, you know, like, you've become a friend, not just someone that like I admire as an artist. Like, now we're buddies.
Yes, I love that. And, you know, before we hopped on this call, I was checking out your interview with Maya. Like, she's amazing. I just love her so much. A dream for me would be to do something creatively with her. I just think that she's a pioneer, you know. She just, she's opened up a lot of doors, in my opinion, you know. What a force.
Yes, so. It was so exciting to hear that from her, and like to hear about Sister Girl Riot, and to really talk to her about, after she moved to Texas, still being an artist and rock and still keeping it going. So that was really amazing.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, and they're in Austin too, you know, like, what a coincidence. It's really wild how like Black rock is kind of centered there, and Pleasure Venom, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Blaxploitation also in Austin?
Yeah, so Pleasure Venom, Blaxploitation, Black Mercy, who else? Dregs, Pussy Gillette. We're here, we're rocking, we're getting it going. And actually, we're going to be playing a show with Pleasure Venom and Dregs in December, which is just...
Get out, that is so exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Like, I wish you were here so you could come and be with us.
I know. I wish I could be there too. Like, honestly, I hope that Nate can go, but I don't know how far Houston is from Austin because I'm not a Texan. So
it's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if he wants to come up here,
we're saying, you know, I'm putting it on the table, so he might, you know, show up, because Texas, Black punks, just, you know, throwing it out there.
Yeah. We're here. We're here.
Holding it down. Yes. Do you have any more things to share for the viewers, for the Brew Crew, Geraldine?
Hey, Brew Crew. I guess just, you know, thank you for your continued support. everything that you've done for BÖNDBREAKR, you know, we feel it in very direct and indirect ways. You can follow us on all the social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter is a lot of fun. If you follow us on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of my thoughts
I love it.
about current events. But no, we've got those 2 singles I mentioned. I hope that they'll be out in spring of 2022, if not sooner. But yeah, just stick with us and hopefully we can continue to bring you some really rockin' music.
Absolutely gonna stick with you, BÖNDBREAKR and Geraldine, because we need you, we need the Black Rock, and we need your perspective. It's important, and you matter.
Yes, we all frickin' matter.
We all damn matter. You hear
Black
that
lives matter. We know this. And Black people, man, we do the damn thing. Like, I just want to say I love us. I do. I love us. And that's why I'm making the music that I make.
Thank you for vocalizing that, Geraldine. People need to hear that you love us and that you're doing it, you know, for the self and for the people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's easy to lose your identity in rock and roll. A lot of us forget that we created rock and roll. And we're looking at, you know, our grunge heroes. Like, of course, before you introduced me to Tina Bell, I was all about Lane Staley. And honey, I will always be. I love him. But
he's incredible.
Yes, that voice, my goodness. But, you know, seeing Tina Bell last year, I was like, how did I not know that this is who
Who would inspire Lane Staley and Kurt Cobain would be her.
And Pearl Jam, like everybody. And I was like, wow, this is why we need to say out loud, this is for Black people.
Yes.
You know, I'm never not going to be saying that. So yes, the music is for Black people. Folks that are non-Black folks are always, always welcome to listen to our music. But at its core, this is a very Black thing that I have created and birthed with these 3 metal guys that are behind and aside me. Yes. Black all day, every day.
Black all day. Oh, thank you so much, Geraldine. Yes.
Yeah.
You're a gem.
You're amazing.
I want you to do 3 things. Stay Black, stay safe, and stay rocking for me, all right?
You got it. You got it.
Black Rockers United, Geraldine. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Signing out.